What's up? What's up? What a ride. What a ride. I'm so excited. Bitcoin, man, what a crazy ride. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Um, Tesla last week, we talked about that. I did make a move on it. I'll get into that at the end as well. But these days, like yesterday, these are like every 10 years, I read somewhere, it's only like 20 or 30 of these days in a 10-year span. And that's when the majority of gains are made if you're a long-term investor. And that's those are exciting days because there's a lot of bad days too. But we don't invest to get rich. This is not a get rich quick. This is a protect your value, protect your money, protect your purchasing power. That's why we do what we do. And it's a shame when you see what's happening. And we talk about this all the time, and it's real estate, certain stocks, Bitcoin, different things like that, hard assets that you could put your money into to protect your purchasing power. And that's what this is all about. And so I always go back to this thing right here, the usdebtclock.org, the greatest website, because the truth is right there, right? And that's why we do what we do. And that's why I share this information. It's not investment advice. It's not get rich quick. It's like I see this stuff and I'm like, man, it's such a shame what is happening to us. And it's not just our national government. It's not any particular party. It's not the Republicans, not the Democrats. It's all of them together. And it's I'll tell you, they're all in on it. It is what it is. State governments, local governments, everybody's just spending money like mad, and they're all going broke. And just to show you how fast this moves, this just turned over 33 trillion 667. This was my video 4 days ago, Friday, I guess. That number was 33 653. So I mean, it's moving. We said the other day. Let me just pull out the box, right? We said the other day, they're adding 2,000 of these boxes in $100 bills every hour to the debt. That's what they've been doing. So what does that do? When you add that much money to the debt, it's just devaluing our money, right? It's taking our purchasing power, this stuff that we work so hard for, and people work their whole lives chasing this, right? Because you need it. You need it to eat. You need it to pay rent. You need it to get transportation. You need it to live, and we work so hard and it's being stolen from us at a rapidly increasing rate. And that's why Bitcoin, Tesla, real estate, we talk about all this stuff. Now, how is adding to the debt, how is printing money stealing from us? I'm going to give you a very simple example. Okay. When I was a kid, I used to collect baseball cards. We're talking, late 80s, early 90s. I love collecting cards. And that was the junk wax era, right? Like those cards were like, just way overdone. Too many of them made, all that. But the holy grail when I was a kid was the 52 tops Mickey Mantle. Still the holy grail today. If I ever get FU money, I'm buying one of these, right? But the 52 tops Mickey Mantle, this thing is worth so much money because there aren't very many of them. Okay. This is PSA. This is the number one card grading site around, the highly respected. They only have 3 examples in gem mint condition, right? Perfect condition, and 6 more in almost perfect condition. So what does that mean? One of them sold last year. This was graded by another company, but similar condition, $12.6 million for this 52 tops mantle. I don't know how many Mickey Mantles there are in existence, okay, but one of them sold for $12 million last year. Now, if I bought a house and there was 2,000 boxes this size of these 52 tops Mickey Mantles in them, and they were all in gem mint condition, do you think I would get $12 million for each one? Absolutely not, guys. That's common sense, right? You flood the market with 52 tops mantles, and the value of the 52 tops mantle is going to go down. Flood the market with our money, print the cash to generate debt of God knows what they're spending it on, and you're going to devalue the money that we work so hard for. So here's an interesting article that came out last week. This is Massachusetts, okay? We do have a housing crisis in Massachusetts. Housing is expensive. There's a lot of reasons for that, but housing is expensive in Massachusetts. So Maura Healey, our governor, comes out with this $4.1 billion housing bond bill. Now, there's something in here that I really like. And it's easing the rules on building accessory dwelling units. So an accessory dwelling unit is, it's like, as of, right now, there's a lot of multi-generational living. Our parents' generation is getting older. There's a huge need. A lot of my clients, they want houses where you can have your parents live there with you, and it just works. And those are hard to come by. It's hard to add a unit to a single family home. It's very problematic. So they come out with these accessory dwelling units. It's big in California. Some of them are like sheds that are like done up and they connect to the house. So I do like props to Maury Hill. I'll give it a props. I like that. We're going to ease that. We're going to make it easier. Okay. So you read that, you're like, all right, good. They're trying to do some things. They're issuing a bond, so maybe they'll get some pension funds to invest, and it's all great until you get to the bottom. And there it is. I highlighted it. Let me zoom in. Let me just zoom in on this because I want you guys to see it. And this is what I mean. So one of the most controversial elements of the bill is the real estate transfer fee, another tax, right? Calls for allowing municipalities and regional affordable housing commissions to adopt a fee ranging between 0.5% to 2% of the proceeds that a seller would have to pay over $1 million. So again, right? And it seems like, Dave, you're being a jerk, right? $1 million, that's so rich. Where's the $1 million house? We live in Fall River. There's been 20 since 2021. There's been 20 sales in Fall River of $1 million or more, right? We actually sold 3 of them. But there is, we're gonna tax more tax. We're gonna take more to do what with? And that's what I mean. It's devaluing. Right? It's devaluing the currency. So here we go. And wait till I show you the other article I found on this. But here's just an example of Fall River. In the past 2 years, right? A bunch of properties over $1 million. So don't say it's not happening here, because it can happen here. Okay. And it's going to impact us. Then you read this next article, and this is the part that kills me, right? So same site. So this was her reaction to it, right? So she weighs in on it, blah, blah, blah. So you go down here, and here's Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston. And this is the type of language that it drives me crazy. Skyrocketing prices could be a windfall for the city of Boston. Mayor Wu has argued in pushing a home rule petition for this transfer tax. Based on 2021 numbers, about 7% of sales in Boston would have been subject to the tax and generated up to $100 million in local revenue. So Boston is looking for the windfall. They call it a win. It drives me crazy. I talked the other day about how I had an issue with a local thing in my town, and they were like, no, don't worry, the state's going to reimburse us. It's our money. All of this money is actually our money, right? And, let's just see, how good of a job are we doing? And I think this is the answer. The state of Massachusetts right now has a $103 billion deficit, according to this debt clock. So there you go. We take in 68 million, we spend 125. It's, the debt is just growing. So what does that mean? So to real people, right? So going back to this site, right here on this little part right here, it gives you the real numbers right here. Median income, median new home, median new car, 2000 to today. So look, guys, I did the math. I threw it on a spreadsheet for you. Let's zoom in a little bit because you need to see this. So sad, and it just makes me angry, right? So from 2000 to 2023, the median income in America is only up 0.5% a year. $4,000 from 32,000 to 36,000. The median price of a home in America in that same 23 years is up $260,000 or 6.77% a year. And finally, the price of a car from 22 to 50,000 is up 5.5% a year. So people are working harder than ever. Their wages are so not keeping up with inflation, and inflation is blowing everything out of the water and making it harder and harder for the average person to live. So you work so hard and you spend all your time and you kill yourself to make money to live, and you can't even afford to live. And why is that? Because we're printing money and we're spending it on just ridiculous things. I don't even know where this money's going. 2,000 boxes an hour. That's what we're spending. All right. So what are some solutions to that, right? So if you're going to survive and you're going to thrive as the world is changing, how do you survive and thrive? You have to beat inflation. Inflation right now, our currency is losing 10% a year in value. The buying power on this $20 bill is $2 a year that it's going down at the way it's going right now. It's only going to get worse. It can't get better. It can only get worse. Okay. So what is one thing? Now, one of the stupidest takes I see on Twitter all the time is don't buy real estate, put it in money market accounts and buy treasuries. They're paying 5%. It's better than buying real estate. Okay, let's dive into that, right? So here you go. This is the advice you get on Twitter. So you Google USA Today, comes up, what's the average money market account? So today it's 5.13%. So we'll call it 5%. Okay. So you got $1 million cash. You could either buy a property that is going to generate income and eventually go up in value, whatever that number is. If it's $1,000, it's still just take a few zeros off the end. Okay. So $1 million at 5% yield. All right. It's 50,000 a year. Compounded, it adds up. So you come in, you got $1,050,000 after the first year, $1,102,000, $1,157,000, and so on and so forth. But the currency is debasing at 10% a year. Why? This is why. Because of this debt, this number that just runs and runs and runs, right? We just tax. We're printing cash. I don't know what the heck we're spending it on. Nobody's answered that question yet, but there it is, okay? So that $1,050,000 after a year with that currency debasement, you have $941,000 of purchasing power. After 2 years, you got $880,000. So here's your bet. Okay, this is the stupidity that I read sometimes. Don't buy the real estate, get the 5% from the government, but the government's stealing 10 from you and giving you back 5. So I go to you and I rob you for 10 and I hand you back 5 and you think I did a great job and you're patting me on the back and thinking you made a move. You didn't make a move. So if your bet is that in 2 years, real estate's going to drop 20% or more than 20%, because that's your cumulative loss of power to buy, then make that bet. Put it in treasuries for 2 years and let me know how you make out. I promise you, we just showed it right here. And real estate goes up over time. There's bumps in the road, but it always goes up. You're going to lose that bet. So that's a big time sucker bet. Anybody giving you that advice. Now, look, treasuries are great. Get that 5% in a short-term window, right? And if you have $10,000, $100,000, $1,000, whatever, it's all the same math. Take a few zeros off. Put it in the bank. Let it sit there for a month, 2 months. Not even a bank, really. What am I saying? A bank? Banks aren't paying that. Put it in a money market account. Put it in whatever. Get the 5% for a little while, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, while you're waiting to make your move. That's perfectly fine. Why wouldn't you do that? Smart move. So now banks, speaking of banks, what's the move? Okay. Oh, people want 5%. Let's give them 100-year CD. That's what this bank came out with. Walden Mutual, I don't even know where they are. 100-year CD at 4.75% APY, right? Like, I don't even know. It starts all talking about Ben Franklin. I don't know, man. Like, I did the math. And again, I'm just some guy. I mean, let's just think about it, right? Here's an article. All right, somebody found $23,000 from a 1950s suitcase in their wall. Now, that money was everything in 1950s, probably paid for the house. Look at this. Some guy packed this up, stuck it in a wall, and here come these people, 70 years later and found it. And, what's it worth? That $23,000 was worth so much more when it was stuck in a wall, right? I did my math. I don't know. I'm not an economist. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But at 5%, you're earning and you're giving up 10% yearly, your purchasing power. After like 12, 13 years, you basically lost it all, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but correct me. So that brings me to my point, all right? So all this stuff, it's infuriating, it's frustrating. But guys, listen, there's always opportunity. There's always opportunity. So you have to find ways to beat that 10%. Okay, you got to beat the 10%. And putting your money in the bank, you're not going to beat it. And it doesn't matter. You could do it with $1. You can do it with $10, $1,000, $1 million, whatever you have, you got to beat that number. And that brings me back to the beginning, baby. All about Bitcoin. What an amazing day we had with Bitcoin. That's one of my hedges. I said it's a store of value. And here you go, right? This is the chart of Bitcoin just to show you. I mean, this is how amazing these last couple of days were. And over time, look, it goes up, it goes down. There's a lot of different things for that. That's a whole video in and of itself. But you have to find things that will move violently like that to beat it. Here's another example, right? Tesla. The other day I talked about Tesla. Look, Tesla took the opposite approach, but I have a long-term view on Tesla. So I actually last week, I added 11% last week on Friday after the bell to my bag, and I added another 4% this morning, right? So I took advantage of this buying opportunity and ran with it. All right. And as far as Bitcoin, this is CleanSpark, a Bitcoin miner. It's based a little like they mine Bitcoin. But anyways, I took a chance. I didn't take a chance, but I added 35% to my CleanSpark bag last week as well. That was my little Bitcoin play. I'd rather sell this when it peaks than sell my Bitcoin. But you can see Bitcoin moves 2%. This moves 10. So, you know, it's guys, you gotta like that. That's why I make these videos. It's infuriating, it's frustrating to just watch everything we've worked so hard for, everything we've always thought we've known. All the rules are changing. So you got to change, you got to adapt. So my mission in life is to find these opportunities and share them with my friends. That's it. And when I want to have conversations with you guys, I want to learn from each other. This is no advice. I'm just some guy on the internet, right? You know, but look at what's out there. Study this data. It's out there, you know. And if you really look at it and you do a little bit of research, you just see that, you know, if this is all you got is cash, I mean, 1950 suitcase, $23,000 worthless today. You know, and it's sad, man. So I want to help people grow. If you're looking to get into Bitcoin, Tesla, real estate, like, let's talk. I want to help. You know, ask me your questions and let's go from there. All right, guys, it's a little bit of a long one, but I felt it had to be said, right? You know, everybody's excited. I'm excited about Bitcoin finally moving and doing what it's supposed to do. You know, so these are the reasons why, you know. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Have a great day. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Thanks.